You're with Newsmakers. On the panel, Bruce Ansley, Kathryn Dalziel and Aaron Gilmore. The anti-whaling activist Peter Bethune is on trial in Japan, and the Green Party has laid into the government for failing to support him. How much sympathy should we have for this man's plight, Kathryn?
Well, I'm as a lawyer, believe it or not, I'm quite interested in justice. And what I'm curious about is why Japan is commencing a trial when all the evidence isn't in, and why the New Zealand government isn't doing something to say, whoa, a minute, Japan, can we just hold off your trial and your investigation until we complete our investigation, which we will get on with.
And this is the maritime investigation.
This is the maritime investigation. And it just concerns me that somebody is exposed to incarceration when all the evidence and the investigations haven't been completed. And Japan needs to accept that this is an international incident. It's involving a person from another country, and and New Zealand should be making that clear to Japan.
Do you think, in a practical sense, that Japan's jurisdiction and New Zealand's jurisdiction, when it comes to this maritime investigation, can interplay? I mean, should there be some overlay between the two?
Well, once they were on board the boat, then that became a matter for Japan to deal with. So hence that aspect of it. But they can't ignore the fact that there is an investigation also going on in New Zealand, and that should be complete so that all the evidence is before the court. It's just a matter of natural justice.
Why have you been so soft with Japan?
Look, I think Kathryn outlined the facts quite well. This gentleman hopped on a boat of foreign territory, and they've charged him with a series of charges, and that matter is before the courts. And there's a series of investigations going on as part of that trial. I think it's completely inappropriate for us to try and judge what that may or may not outcome of them that may be at the moment. It's currently going through before the Japanese legal system, and Mr. Bethune has been offered all the same rights and as any other New Zealand citizen would be before the consulate. And from our perspective, that's exactly the same as any other New Zealand citizen would be treated.
But do you think the New Zealand government, as Kathryn has said, should have made it quite clear to the Japanese government that there is another investigation that is pending that arguably the Japanese government are not showing any interest in or regard to?
There were statements made by Murray McCully and by the Prime Minister about this exactly situation and about what our position actually is. There's a very emotive issue here around intertwining what Mr. Bethune has done versus the general issue about whaling. And to be honest, the public needs to separate them out. We have quite strong positions that we think what Japan's doing in whaling is inappropriate and needs to change. What seems to have happened is a portion of the population is trying to join these things together. They're quite separate. We have a very strong position against whaling by the Japanese, and it needs to change. Mr. Bethune's case, there are a clear set of facts here that go through their process, and we're not going to interfere in their legal processes.
Would you be bothered if this fella ends up spending time beyond what he already has in a Tokyo jail?
It's not clear that's what's going to happen with him, and not clear what the charges may arise through the case. It's clear that if he's found guilty of the charges he's been laid, he very likely will spend time in jail.
Would you be bothered by that?
Not if the courts find him guilty, no.
Okay. To what extent is this fella a clown? A self-exhibitionist clown and author of his own hideous misfortune?
He's a pretty brave clown, though, isn't he? He's and he's also he's the person who's lost most out of this conflict. He's already lost a boat that's worth way over $1 million. It sank. The Australian Maritime Authority completed its investigation without deciding on one side or the other. As for this notion that we're in some way bound by the Japanese court, I just can't follow that one at all. You know, we have got every right to express an opinion while the matter is before the Japanese court. One of the charges he's facing is obstructing business. Well, for God's sake, you know, some people in this country might like that as a charge here, but so far it doesn't exist. And I think we should be expressing a view. You can argue that the two things are separate, the anti-whaling and the anti-whaler, but I don't see them as very separate. I think that you know, if we're on the side of the anti-whaling thing, we may all be slightly iffy about boarding a boat, you know, and cutting things, etc., etc. But and broadly, I think most people are pretty sympathetic to his cause.
All right. We'll have a look at a local issue. It's a classic Christchurch battle, the Arts Centre, and the Trust Board won't appeal the music school decision. However, Ken Franklin has told the press on Friday that another joint venture project with the university and the City Council could be in the pipeline and could be unveiled within a year for the car park site. Do you get the impression the public are just completely estranged from the Trust Board when it comes to their ideas?
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa, yeah. And should we be bothered by this?
Well, I think we should. I mean, the Trust Board is set up to preserve the Arts Centre for the people of Christchurch. I think that's somewhere in its mission statement. The people of Christchurch have been pretty antsy about what the Trust Board has been planning, and for Ken Franklin now to turn around and say, "Well, okay, we admit this one's lost, but we're going to do something else, but we're not telling you what it is." I don't know how well he's serving our interests.
Yeah, what do you think, Aaron?
Oh, I agree with Bruce. You know, basically, this site's one of the iconic Canterbury sites, and I'm all for putting forward proposals to actually use it in the best possible way. But the public have to have their say, and on the particular case of the music school, the public's had their say, and that proposal wasn't going to fly. I was very careful about not one of the few MPs in the city that didn't express a view on that at the time, because I didn't think it was appropriate to do so.
Why?
Look, because I think it had to undertake its process, and to be honest, the music school I didn't think was the best location within the university, the old university campus site. But Mr. Franklin's got a new idea. Fantastic. Let's see it and see what it's about, and actually have a say on it, and have the public have their say. And if it's a great use of that for actual car park, fantastic. But we'll wait and see what he's come up with. Okay. I doubt it, but we'll see.
How do you see it, Kathryn?
Well, I just think there's a whole group of men with money burning a hole in their pocket, and we've got to spend it. We've got all this money. Let's build it. Let's build it. Let's build some statues to ourselves, and it will be just wonderful. The music school was it wasn't a fly, as Aaron pointed out, from start to finish. It was a ridiculous idea. I'm still concerned with the university trying to move back into that site. Back in the 70s, when this was debated and debated and debated, they built a campus out at Island for a reason. And they built it on a site, that was designed to grow. And they were building a university that was to last hundreds and hundreds of years, not to do this toing and froing. And if you talk to the students, they don't want to move back into town because so many of them are doing double degrees. They want to attend a university out of Ireland and stay within that centre, one site.
The island of Ireland, as Rod Carr calls it.
So I just think the Trust Board should have a few drinks with Richard Sinky down at the Ducks and just get over themselves.
All right, coming up, Crayford Farms and the Chinese and the dodgy dealings of a duchess. Back shortly.